I have the best dressed individual in channel opposite the worst dressed in channel of Vincent Disneur founder and managing director for FuseGenie. Previous fame of Union Street Billing Technologies Limited. Also an appearance on The Apprentice, which we were going to touch on.
Long time ago.
And ran various businesses, very entrepreneurial. So there's a few themes I want to kind of touch on with you. So I always had this image, and I bet a lot of people do with you, where they see this incredibly well-dressed guy and they think, God, they maybe judge from afar without getting to know you. And I bumped into you over a beer last year, and I thought, I really like this guy, because I'd had an image of, aloof and really smartly dressed and kind of the elite of channel, for a better description. And when I met you and chatted to you, I was like, such a good guy. And we'd kept in touch. And when we had the opportunity for Tune the Channel Live, I was like, I want Mr. Vincent on. And I literally reached out on LinkedIn, as should all people. Luckily got a reply. This is your first pod, I believe. So happy with that. And what I wanted to kind of touch on with you is where I sit next to someone who's run a number of successful businesses, exited. You could, potentially not have to be doing the hustle and bustle of channel sale, running a business.
Yeah.
But there's something in you that draws you to grow, to build, to achieve. And I'm interested where that started.
Okay.
And then I'm also interested in, there is something that you might have heard of that businesses in the channel are talking about, AI, where we're seeing resellers and MSPs automate as much as possible, enhance customer experience as much as possible, cut costs, and AI is the future. That's what they want you to do. But no one really knows what to do with it. But they're just seeing AI is the future, be it I don't need to hire people, or I can do this and do that. So I want to unpack that a little bit and kind of benefit.
Let's go through.
Oh, not enough time.
These seats are really uncomfortable, aren't they?
Well,
I mean, are we sliding into them?
Well, this is a couple of, you're all right. You're really well dressed.
No,
But
it's
like,
not good.
I'm sliding down like there. So like,
Almost like we've got all of rules there.
yeah. Well, maybe in your house, not in the good old household. Sorry, love. Where did you grow up? Where's home for you as a teenager?
Canterbury.
Canterbury.
And it's a really interesting backstory, actually. My mum and dad. So my dad was born in Zaire, Congo.
Why was he born in Zaire, Congo?
Because he's Belgique, and the Belgians went over there during the wartime. And my mum's Swiss. They met in Switzerland. They then decided to move from Switzerland to Shannon Island. Then from Shannon Island, they moved to Scotland. And I was born in Scotland. So actually I'm actually Scottish. It is Scottish. Born in Paisley,
What did you do?
which is a lovely place. My dad was in hotels. So he worked very closely with a guy called Trust House 40. And then they moved from Scotland down to Reading down to Kent, because my dad was working for a company called Silcock Express. Silcock Express were the main distributor of bringing in Audis and Volkswagen into the UK and then distributing them across the country. He had a brilliant boss, actually, a guy who owned the business called Bernard Holmes, real character. I remember we used to go and he used to have big barbecues in the summer. And then we then grew up in a village called Wingham, which is a few miles outside of Canterbury, but we went to school and we grew up in Canterbury. And I don't know if you've been to Canterbury.
Once or twice.
But it's a really, really lovely, historic city, nice cathedral, couple of universities. Yeah, that's where I grew up.
So in terms of kind of unpacking your dad a little bit, in terms of, because I think it's interesting, because like if I look at my dad, I think historically, a lot of the time for jobs, and we've seen technology change, when people would change jobs, it wasn't uncommon for relocation and moving into different places and that. So is he, I'm assuming, quite a free spirit to a certain extent. I'm going to live in Belgium and we'll do Credit Island. was you always open to changes? And
Yeah,
if there was an opportunity, little things like where I live and things weren't blockers. It was, this is the opportunity we're going to
I think
take.
you had to do it, Will.
Went for it.
It's a different world a little bit.
Well, you're growing up in an environment though where you're seeing your dad, and granted he was working for amazing people,
Yeah.
but he's seeing an opportunity and he's going for it. Whereas a lot of people wouldn't. They would have. Most people stay in one place, don't they? So he's gone back, different country. That's fine. Let's go there. Let's go here. Let's go there. And it's kind of evolved into kind of Canterbury. So you're kind of absorbing, if you like, at that stage, this sort of entrepreneurial spirit to a certain degree, where it sees the day, and that's quite interesting in terms of it maybe explains a few seeds being planted then. So you're kind of growing up in Canterbury, so quite secure, safe-ish, you know. It's not, and I'm going to ask this question, I ask most people, and I'll mention it to you before, you were like, I love this stuff. As a teenager, I'm assuming, and I might be wrong, there were certain things you did to generate income, be it, so for example, Jay Ball, that owned a seat Flowtech, worked at a circus. He'd cycle 13 miles to a circus, oh, it was a circus fairground, sorry, and he'd work there, cycle back, and, you know, various other people sold, I mean, James Drake at Eclipse rented books out and games, things like that. So what did I do? Was there anything you did? I'm assuming there was.
Yeah, I did a few things. So I had quite a good work ethic as a child, or a younger man, I should say.
Where did that come from?
Probably a bit from parents, but actually just I always wanted to earn a lot of money, and I don't know why. In fact, I think actually a few of the guys I grew up with, and probably my brothers, used to say that I seem to have a obsession with, it's always about money. They used to say, why is it always about money? And I think it was more than just money. It was being successful. So I'll give you a great example of that. So, you know, did paper rounds at the age of, I don't know, 12, 13, or when you could do them. And it was a tough gig. You know, you'd be cycling 5-6 miles,
Yeah,
no matter what the weather.
yeah. Canterbury, there's a distance between properties. You know,
up and down hills and things. You know, then worked in fields, pick fruit and stuff like that. And then got into computing, which is really weird. I didn't earn any money doing that at the time because I was too young. But PCs.
You say computing. What did you?
Well, what we did is there was a shop. There was an independent shop in Canterbury, and the guys there were pretty geeky. They were the first to kind of getting into the world of PC. I mean, we're talking a long time ago now, right? In terms of, this is when PCs were emerging, and these guys would build PCs. So they'd build custom PCs. So I used to go, for some reason, I don't know how I landed there. I ended up going there and I remember we used to take motherboards, we used to put in the RAM, we used to build these whole PCs, and they still do it today. It's not that much different. You've still got graphics cards. And then started playing around with things like DOS. I remember playing with DOS and then getting into a bit of programming. So yeah, I kind of, not like you would know that about me, that I did a little bit of programming and got into computers in a big way.
And is that kind of where the sort of tech, there's the desire to earn cash, succeed, to win ultimately,
Yeah.
and you're getting exposure to this emerging technology where you're seeing things. So it's kind of, it's ticking a couple of boxes for you there, isn't it? It's giving you the entrepreneur, and you're going, there's growth in there.
Well,
and there's interest as well in terms of the actual.
I suppose. I mean, I guess it lined up. It's followed my journey in terms of what I've done afterwards. I think, well, for me, when you're younger, you know, I wasn't an 18-year-old that went and built a business. I wanted to. I had these ambitions. I got where it really kicked off for me was when I was doing that process young, and obviously I think there was a point where you could only get paid from the age of 16 or something, and I was still working. So bars, you could do back bars. So in social settings where you would meet people and you can converse. And that's probably when you sort of didn't know me or meet me, I'm quite confident in terms of, not always, but in terms of my, the way I operate. But when I got into finishing GCSEs and doing A-levels, PC World arrived, and PC World was the first time where we had like a big superstore shop that was selling, you know, computers, laptops. Didn't exist before. And I went and worked for those guys and got on the sales floor and did pretty well, if I'm honest. I mean, there was
I've got this image. I'd love to have seen it. If we can, if you ever send me a picture of you, have you got one with your name badge? Because I can imagine you.
yeah, I used to have a picture on the wall.
Because have you always had that gift of the gab sort of sales approach, or was that something that's crafted, or is it just naturally you've just always had it? It was always, if someone gets in trouble, Vincent will always talk about trouble.
Well, maybe a bit. Maybe a bit. You get that from school and the people you hang out with there, and kind of the banter that you may have.
If you were grounding in that sort of the sales element where there's a structure to follow.
I think you have to push yourself. I think actually you have to put yourself, you know, and I seem to do that. So what I mean by push yourself, you have to be confident. You've got people coming into a shop looking to buy something. They're an active buyer. They want to be sold something. Most people do, but you need to be confident to go and speak with them, listen to them, see what they want. And yeah, I did pretty well. It ended up being bought, or I think by the time I got there, it was owned by the Dixons Group. And what the Dixons Group did is they created this kind of area, or they created this team of people. They said whoever sold a certain amount of products would enter into what they call the Millionaires Group, right?
So it was like
a big carrot.
when you're 18, 19?
No, I was 17 doing A levels.
So that's right up your street.
And I think I was the one of only 2 people in the country, because we were on a part-time basis, right? We were doing our A levels. So it was some sort of incentive, right? And what it didn't mean certain people had to sell that amount of products, or there was a threshold that you had to get in there, but it'd be pro ratas, and you got a lot of recognition for it. You got to go on a trip and all that sort of stuff. So I was quite proud of that as a 17-year-old, being recognized for that. And actually, I thought I don't mind selling. It's quite good. I enjoy it.
But I spoke to someone once who ran their own business, and they were doing a face-to-face sort of sales job, but I think it was, you know, you kind of get people that are on like a stand, and it's slightly.
So you're getting a blank mind as well now.
No, this mind's always blank. It's the tram line, and what they did, and this is probably similar to the PC World thing, is you will have almost 2 types of people. You would have someone that's standing there, kind of waiting for someone to come to them,
yeah,
and then you got someone that's proactive, greeting people, talking to people, personable, and then ultimately maneuvering that hopefully to a sale. And he said, I think it was Windows or Sky TV or something, he noticed as a teenager, people were just standing there and then he left. He tripled his conversion by putting his arm out and saying, nice to meet you, to people, chatting to them. And suddenly that skill set there translates many years later, layered on into running a successful business, all the things. And it's interesting there, because I would imagine, 17-year-old, you're kind of seeing people stood there and you're kind of organically going, well, actually the chance for me to achieve, chance for me to sell and all that stuff, I need to seize the day. There's customers there. And you said it at the start where you said people coming in, people wanted to buy, they were in, so they're looking for something.
Well, there's an interest. I mean, they used to come in looking to buy maybe, one PC or a laptop, and then they'd leave one for, grandmother, grandfather, children. I mean, it was brilliant. And the moment they're selling, but I think people get the word selling wrong. And I think you're right, because you could see, we were an exhibition today, and you'll see people at a stand, and they won't be proactive. They'll stand there and they'll think that is selling. For me, selling is really fundamentally building relationships. That's from all the best, from my best selling, from a lot of people that have worked for me and sold really, really well. You get 2 types typically, right? If they want to be in sales, you get somebody who's really, okay, I just want to make a sale because I want to earn a load of commission. And what happens is they'll burn 50% of the leads that you give them, and they'll convert 50%, right? And they'll think that's quite a good ratio. But when you compare that to somebody that actually, don't sell them anything, because we've already been able to nurture. They want to buy something from us. They need something from us. Go and build a relationship with them, because that will keep you instead. That will allow you to sell, work with them for a long, long time. And you see that you see that all the time, because there will be people that will come to me and say, well, that salesperson or that account manager we had, yeah, I mean, we bought it because we know you, we like the business, we like the brand, but my God, it wasn't a great experience. Whereas we had other people that have built relationships and, 7 years down the road that continue to buy from them, evolve, being able to do the upsell because there's a trust, you know?
And in terms of, because I completely agree. I mean, it's one of the easiest sayings in any sort of, it's, because I think sales is a craft, it's a specialty. If you look in America, sales is kind of up there with lawyers, and kind of, it's a really high respected industry. And I think sometimes it's all too easy for people to say, people buy from people, but then the reality is, and like to your point, I will walk around here today and there'll be very few people probably that are proactive and engaging, and ultimately their businesses are paid cashed and kind of. So I take your point there. So you kind of see PC World, God bless, and
Still exists.
but from a,
Then what?
not then what? Why sales? That's the bit I don't understand. So you kind of paper around, motherboard, into PC World.
Yeah, I mean, there's been lots of other little things.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? I used to get a group of guys together in my area. We used to go knock on doors, wash cars, make a few quid doing that.
And did you help people at PC World, or were you kind of, in your career, have you always, this is what I'm going to do? Or were you kind of set support?
I just wanted to earn a few quid, buy my first car, bought Golf GTI, had a few more quid than everybody else.
And what was the fair working sort of job you went for? Did you, so I'm assuming, well, the research on you is really difficult, but there's no university, I don't think.
I went to university.
Did you? Which one?
I went to university in London. I went for a year. I studied computer science. I had a lot of fun in London.
Too much.
I think from somebody from Canterbury moving to London for the first time at 18 or 19 years of age, I must have been 18.
And you're earning some cash.
I went and worked at PC World in London. So I was earning money still. I mean, I did some of the courses, but I was keen to get out there and do something. I kind of wasn't enjoying the course, but I came out of that and I came back to Canterbury, and I was quite fortunate because I knew somebody in the area. There was quite a well-known family that have got various businesses. And one of those businesses was like a PC World. It was like a Curry's, a Comet store where they sold what we used to be classed as brown and white goods. So white goods being things you put, fridge freezers, etc. Brown goods being all the other stuff, TVs and everything else. And he knew that I was kind of keen on, understood computing and understood a little bit about programming, and he could see the emergence of the internet. I mean, this is when we had dial-up modems, right?
But as well as that, he could see the potential of someone that, because a lot of the time when I speak to entrepreneurs, there's certain figures that appear in certain stages of their career where they see something that is really moldable, or someone that require, if I give them a chance and the environment,
100%.
they're gonna flourish. And how is that something you've carried on? Now you're kind of on the other side.
100%.
People,
And you can see it today. How many of the people that worked with us at the other businesses we've had today are now doing brilliantly within the channel, and actually always say, well, we learned from you, it was brilliant, and they continue that. But I've had the same thing. That's mentorship, isn't it? I've been very lucky to have a lot of good people that I've kind of listened to, learned from, taken some of their behaviors, the way they operate, and then do it myself. And then you just pass on that pattern. But you have to seek those people out. You have to be close to those people
and build that relationship.
But that's kind of where you want to know where the entrepreneur spark really happened. I mean, I went and
because kind of what you're saying, but what you're saying now is there definitely feels like you could quite easily have, similar to, I guess, me, my dad, your dad, and been successful in businesses and worked for this successful family, done a great job there, and then maybe got a different job at another company in London, and you could have done a similar journey to, say, your dad or me. Whereas there's a bit on that journey where you kind of gone, I think I can kind of spread my wings, and
I always
go with it.
Yeah, my dad was a corporate guy. He's retired. He retired quite early actually, but he was corporate. My mum was quite corporate. I just always wanted to be either own a business or own and you don't always need to be just the owner. You can have a share in that success as well, right? There seems to be
Influence.
well, there's a big thing at the moment. You look at if you're tip-tocking away, have your own business. Yes, it's great to have your own business, but you can also be part of a team that have a piece of a business as well, which actually I think sometimes bears fruit a little bit more.
You can shape, I suppose, from that position. The corporate world is great, but from the entrepreneurial side, you can shape the dynamic of a business and influence its direction. You don't necessarily, to your point, need to be the owner, but you can be a key figure within there and go, right, this is the direction, this is the culture, these are the different values that we're gonna look at. So what prompted you to go, right, I'm not gonna do the corporate dance? Because you could quite easily have become sales director, CEO within corporate businesses, different. You've put your word rhymes with rock on the block and gone out and done that. Was there a defining moment in there, or was it just organically, leaves in the wind, life, you've just found yourself in this position and
I don't
took the
Well,
opportunity?
it's the people that I've worked for or with, and I've seen them do it. When you when you sort of analyze life a little bit more, there's a lot of patterns that go on, right? If you look at history, things repeat themselves quite a lot. Okay, it may be slightly different, but there's a lot of patterns that happen. And so why not look at people that have done it themselves, been successful, take the best, put your slant on it, and give it a go. And it's not easy. It depends on where you're coming in at. Any startup business, for example, is extremely difficult.
Well, there was a we caught up off air and I think a lot of the time people are guilty in the channel or any walk of life where they look at a founder or an entrepreneur 10, 20 years down their journey and assume that it's all roses and everything's great and they see the trappings of the hard work. They don't perhaps see the founder stage where you potentially
sacrifice.
Yeah, you're not going out, you're not seeing friends, you've got
Having to living in the toilets, even though, because you've got a team of people, you're doing all the small things.
not paying yourself a wage, making sure your staff are paid and all those things. And, within that sort of journey, at which point and I've got to mention this because you've put it on there, did the apprentice sort of opportunity appear? Was it something that you saw and thought, do you know what, I've got the gift of the gab and it's good publicity, or
No.
were you asked to go on it?
No.
How did that come about?
My dad mentioned it a number of times to me.
Why did your dad mention it?
I just thought I'd be good on it, I think. So he kept saying to me a number of times, I think you'd be good on that show. I think at the time, it's a long time ago now, it's 11, 12 years ago.
Compliment though for your dad to do that, because although and like, we'll shoot our marketing director with these chairs in a bit, but
they're horrible, aren't they?
yeah. But for your dad to go, do you know what? On 7, 8, 9 million people watching it, I think you would stand out and be fantastic on that. And it's various alliterations now, and there's a different. If I'm personal with it, I think it's more. There's people perhaps go on these things for not
Different reasons.
business. It's maybe more influencer, social stuff. But certainly when you were on it, it was very, very business focused, very pressurized environment. So your dad's kind of going, look, I know you'll handle it, and I think you'll do great.
It's
Maybe sometimes when you look back, you kind of go, yeah,
I didn't really watch it.
no.
I didn't really watch it. And I got into a bit of it. It was always for a job, wasn't it? It was always to have a job and for earnings. And
You have to kind of ham it up a little bit.
I was doing all right.
I
was doing all right. So I didn't feel like I needed to go and get a job with somebody I didn't know. But then the model changed, where it turned into an investment, where
you didn't.
And actually,
Amstrad, it would be
no. And ironically, the business plan I think I put together, I'm not sure how. It'd be interesting if I look back at it, if it was any good. It probably was all right. But the actual business plan was to take Union Street, because I was at Union Street anyway.
yeah, because
And took a sabbatical. I spoke with Tony And we basically agreed, look, take a sabbatical, go and do what you got to do. You won't be long, come back. You know, I think it was
You won't be long. You'll be voted off on me, all right?
6-7 weeks or something like that. And the idea I think we put in the business plan was I wanted to take Union Street more overseas. That was always the plan, is to actually go and spread our wings a little bit more in areas like Benelux, in Spain, in France, because there are, you know, there are channels in those areas as well. It's not just the UK.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, but yeah, no, it's a great experience, and I had a lot of fun with it for about 18 to 24 months afterwards. A lot of fun. It was great for me.
Similar to fun when you were at university for that first year.
Yeah, more fun. and it was really good from a positioning perspective. I was, because I'd already been in I'd already been in the channel for a little while, although young. Had been networking, going to the events, you know, doing the hard yards of the 55,000 miles on the road, meeting people, building those relationships. So it kind of almost accelerated that. And, you know, there were a few things that would happen at awards dues and other things. And it got you known a little bit more, well, a lot more, because it was very popular at the time.
You mentioned relationship. Did you find it, because obviously capitalized on it as you should do, but did you find certain bits of it disingenuous where potentially people were kind of viewing you as a celebrity, or were you fully aware of that? And I understand now that perhaps my profile's raised a different, you know, up several notches, and I'm going to utilize that with Union Street, kind of grow and use that to my advantage.
I was surprised. I was surprised at the reaction, actually. The reaction from the channel was, and the people I knew in it, was really positive.
Why did it surprise you?
Because I think when you put yourself out there, I think if you're not careful, if you put yourself on a reality TV show, and that's ultimately what it is, okay, with a business twist to it, it can go one of number of ways. It can go very wrong for you if you're, you know. And of course, you've got to remember, you're in front of a camera, you've got a production team, they want you to behave in a certain way. I kind of struggled with it slightly. You know, they were telling me, you know, go on, you know, you want to say it, you know, go on, and they want to build that for characters. You know, I feel I could have done better on it. There's a lot of things that once you've been in it and you understand how the thing operates, what goes on behind the scenes and so forth. But I would have liked to have won it, of course, because it's just on the basis of winning, because we always like to win.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think I won a lot out of a hell of a lot out of it anyway. So
It is awkward, isn't it? Sometimes when you put yourself out there. I mean, we're, you know, Channel Live today. There's potentially a traitor wandering around who is maybe using their notoriety for advantage, and God bless him to do that.
Sure.
So, kind of fast forwarding, and I'm conscious of time.
Yeah.
Union Street, you sold it for £6.90, I believe. Grew that over what, 13, 14 years?
We did several things. So going back to where you asked, where the spark started, built an e-commerce business. They got to 1.5, 2 million rev with a small team, really interesting. Then got into recruitment, sold a company, or was involved with a company that got sold to Adecco. And interestingly, out of that, met a bloke who was trying to sell another recruitment company in Canterbury, a guy called Sean Marsh, who owned a software company. He was a bit of a software genius. He owned a software company called Tempest. And Tempest were into billing as well. And that's really where how I got into channel.
But how did you identify that?
I didn't. He just said, I got software, but I wanted to get into software because I knew that's the way the world is going. It's a bit like today. You know, the world's going to AI. Okay, we could have a huge conversation about that. Just understand what's happening there, because ride the wave. We're going to ride the wave in software, and ultimately that business ended up getting bought by. In fact, the first acquisition, or one of the first acquisitions, with probably the most successful entrepreneur we've seen, who I know, Matt Riley, bought. He did one of his first acquisitions in the Tempest office, because we ended up selling him and signing him up as a customer. He ultimately ended up buying Tempest, which is ironic because he ended up buying Union Street as well.
Yeah.
So as I told to him, I'm his lucky charm. That's what I said to him. But yeah, so Tempest, then Union Street. Union Street, we were going through a private equity process. COVID hit. We had a great, that was an 18-month process, really successful, loads of offers on the table, pretty much signed, going through all the DD. I had an incredible management team. We were rocking and rolling off. We were going to go and do all the wonderful things we wanted to do. Then COVID hit. The whole world felt like it was collapsing. And we ultimately decided, based upon the amount of work we did, the offer on the table, that we would go and be, be part of what was then a DW. So DWS, you had Geocom and you had Union Street. Yeah. And I could talk to you a lot about that and what we did there. I mean, we basically treble the size of the business. So did loads of winning ones.
No,
because it's it's another good thing.
No,
you did a merger, acquisition, and it's a great team of people.
No, it's an amazing because the bit as well is, and it's kind of segues into AI, which I wanted to touch on, is from the billing perspective, you've kind of seen an opportunity in terms of where software, you've got, great team around you, sure, but the market's kind of moving to that. And, another genius, Matt Riley's kind of going, yeah, because if I incorporate billing into my platform, it makes our partners really sticky. We've got billing, we've got all different solutions. It's kind of a real key fundamental, because your billing systems is typically, I would imagine, not something that people shop around a lot and go, I'm going to change, I'm going to do this.
It's not broken.
Exactly.
That's the
and kind of now we kind of fast forward and we're looking at the advent of AI, and AI means a million things to a million people. Obviously you're starting business FuseGenie, and every reseller I speak to says, yeah, I want to use AI. I want to automate. I want to take some costs out of my business. Yeah. You can use AI for lead generation, for selling, for every facet of a business. But no one I speak to really understands how they're going to use it over the 6, 12, 18 months. It's just AI.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to kind of, from your side, in terms of the channel, where do you see, what's your view in terms of how they're looking at it? And what do you think are sort of the opportunities, but also the sort of dangers that you're seeing from a technology perspective?
Okay. So I've had the luxury of spending the last 3 years completely consumed by AI automation. And I'd already invested in a small integration automation business, which we kind of threw out, we threw out some noise 3 years ago, and actually ended up getting quite a lot of interest in it, especially at a carrier level. Again, there's a lot we could talk about there, and I think we've got the time, but they need to do a lot more to be able to service the channel in terms of APIs, right? Don't worry too much about building wrappers or AI. Just build quality APIs that people that are building solutions, especially with AI, can consume. The market will work itself out. So I've had that luxury. And what you find is that actually a lot of people today see AI as Gen AI. So they're using an LLM and they're chatting and they're learning how to prompt. And again, we're probably using that at 20% of this capacity. There's a whole world that you can understand and what you can do there. But then you learn a little bit more about, I was interested to see how it works, right? A little bit like the computer analogy. What's in the box? Where's the motherboard? What's fitting in? And you start to learn about
saying at the start of your career, because you want to understand.
Well, you need curiosity.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And you've got these things called neural networks, and then you've got machine learning, deep learning. By the way, I've learned a lot about this stuff, and you don't want to, because you go down deep rabbit holes. You go into computer vision.
But this is the point, right? Because people are looking.
Bear with me, I'm not finished, right? Then you go into synthetic data, and what you realize is there's a whole stack, right, of just. It's not just one thing. There's a whole load of things happening all at the same time. Then you've got people that are building out the chips and the infrastructure. They're the ones all making the money by the way, at the moment. They're all making the money. Everybody's buying them from crazy, and it's a bit of they're kind of paying each other and they're working it out. Then you've got the frontier models, which are the ones you'll know, the ChatGPTs, the LLM guys, right? And at the moment, they're not making any money, and it's pouring cash in. And then you've got a couple of other layers, and then you've got where we sit, right? Where can you potentially use that technology, build applications, add it into what you've already got to be able to monetize it? And I think it's difficult. There's 1.7 million AI startups today. 1.7 million, all trying to get wallet share. But this is natural, when you've got something new that happens, you're going to get loads of people. It's throwing loads of darts.
Future.
What do you think? Because, you know, you're talking to a lot of resellers. You're seeing a lot of people, especially when they're selling UC capability, they're adding their own AI, you know, around that to understand a little bit more about the call recording or the communication that comes in. I mean, that's quite a good use case. If I'm, you know, it depends if I need it. You know, agents are the big thing now, right? But agents really fundamentally right today are workflow automation with reasoning, right? And it depends what the UK, you could spend a lot of money wasting a lot of time trying to automate things, you know, like you're looking at your inbox. Yeah, no, you can do that yourself at the moment, but I see where it's going, and it's very broad.
It's so broad, and I think it's definitely one that I'm gonna nick you to do a proper session on it, because I see, and I'm conscious of time. I've got my marketing director staring at me, rightly so. I see the benefits of the technology in the channel, but then I see from a human sort of, I'm a relationship builder. I see the challenge on the relationship bit, because I see authenticity under attack a little bit in terms of ChatGPT and people writing and appearing in a way that is contrary to exactly who they are.
It's incredible, isn't it? And you meet them and you communicate one way, and then they call it slop now.
Oh, yeah. And I see that as a big threat, because like you said at the start, relationships, and this is kind of the thing my personal view is, I think everything's underpinned with relationships. And sometimes I see people's posts or I see people's adverts and I go, that's not you.
Yeah.
Fundamentally not you.
Yeah. And it's dangerous as well,
because that turns me off.
Because a model, depending on its own bias, could make you sound, we could have a huge conversation about this. For every positive, and I'm massively bullish, right? I want AI. I think it's incredible. Again, thinking about patterns, right? That's fundamentally what sits underneath it, is patterns. So if you've got enough patterns, it's going to make people healthier. It's going to fix poverty. It's going to fix stuff. But then there are so many, you could switch that in terms of the negatives. I think it could potentially be worse than social media in terms of what the behaviors and what happen with it, and why I think, and where people could go with it.
More things like this, more discussions are important. And I think, you know, I can't thank you enough for coming on today.
Pleasure.
You said how long it'll be, 4 minutes, we'll be able to fill it. Like literally we could probably go on for a significant chunk of time, because we've hardly given credit to a number of things what we talk about. But I think from the channel perspective, to grow and to develop and to start from, you know, Canterbury, London, but the bit that really stands out for me, Vincent, is going from, you could have done the corporate dance, could quite easily have done the corporate dance, but wasn't your journey, wasn't what you wanted to do. You could quite easily not be here and doing something else, but starting a business, you want to grow again, you've got the bug, achieve cash, all those good things that make the channel what it is. I think AI, I definitely encourage any business leaders looking at that and how do I implement it? What are the threats? To reach out to expert like Vincent to kind of get that intel, because it could make your business, but equally I think it could kill your business. But thank you so much for your time.
Pleasure.
Sorry again for the chair. This is from Next, by the way. It's £20.
Yeah,
so I'll send you. You wanted the link, so you'll be able to get that for you.
Fantastic, doesn't it?
Yeah. Cheers, man. Thanks.